What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm doing a review of Caregiving. This is a documentary that PBS platformed and gave a little bit of a release window to, so you could see it. You should still be able to see it through your PBS app. I know at some point it's going to disappear, but these are probably reasons why we should continue to support things like PBS so that we can continue to get documentaries like Caregiving. So people who are interested in stuff like this can watch these documentaries for free with audio description. By the way, BT dubs, this has audio description, which is pretty cool. So if you're new to me, click like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm a blind film critic. Other critics on here, they say they go into things blind. They really don't. I've checked. They don't. I do. I went into Caregiving blind because I am. So naturally, that's what I do. So Caregiving has been given a little bit of a boost because it's been produced by Bradley Cooper and it's narrated by Aduba. And of course, immediately, like, I'm watching a documentary and I'm like, Bradley Cooper is not really on the same level as some of these people because he has money. And so even though he sort of starts off at the top by talking a little bit about like why he got involved with Caregiving as a documentary because of having to take care of one of his parents, I believe his father, if I remember correctly. I was like, dude, you have a lot of money though. And most of this documentary is about how people struggle to financially stay solvent while taking care of their loved one. Also, it does deal with people who are caregivers in like a profession, but it does deal a lot with like family members and having somebody there and the way that our system works, how it was created, and maybe sort of how we've failed or we've tried to move on from. And we get in this sort of thought about like, well, we don't want to give away welfare. And it's like, yeah, but on the other hand, we have people who can't work and they need care, either like substantial part-time care or full-time care. And not everybody needs to be in a nursing home. Some people just need help with such a wide variety of tasks throughout the day, that we should probably look into actually making this, again, a thing that people can do for themselves without getting into crippling debt. Because, it just makes sense. And when you watch the documentary, you see that it makes sense. You see these people with their stories. And there's a guy who goes on FMLA, the Family Medical Leave Act, in which he rightly points out the fact that all it does is guarantee his job, but he doesn't make any money while he's doing it. So if his family's in an emergency and he has to take medical leave for it, great. Then he has a job to go back to. However, there is like a time limit, and there's also like, you can't be on medical leave. COVID hit a lot of people, right? So you can't be on medical leave for like 5 years because, your spouse or child got long COVID. And you also aren't making any money. So there's still like these problems, and they talk about how they advocate and they're still working towards and trying to get people to legislate, but we actually kind of walked it back. They point out, it goes all the way back to Herbert Hoover's time. A great man. We learned a lot. Anyway, huge. And he did not believe in helping anybody out. He also caused the Great Depression and then didn't want to fix it. So naturally, he lost the election to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Duh. And FDR had plans to fix a whole bunch of things and fix the 33% unemployment and try to bring that back. And his Secretary of Labor had a whole bunch of ideas, including like Social Security, which included stuff for people with disabilities, people like me, you know, who maybe have been thrown a curveball in life and their earning potential shifted, or they have the thing that's really interesting here that I have a lot to talk about because, you know, disabled film critic, no one else. There are a couple other disabled film critics. I think I'm the only blind one though. This shit's expensive, even if you can work. That's the fucking problem, is even if I can work, there's a whole bunch of tech and stuff out there that will help me do tasks or fill in the gaps for me, like read things, like if I get mail in. Yeah, there are apps that will sort of read it to me, like I can scan it and it gets the gist, but there are still other tech things, and there are other things for other people, you know, like wheelchairs that they need. All of this is really expensive. We've made disability expensive, which makes no sense. So, and then we kneecap the entire the entire industry by sort of underfunding what people get, because we get the idea that somebody just claims disability and sits at home because that's what they want to do. Now I work and I want to do this because I want to feel like I'm contributing something. So like it's a sort of a two-pronged thing. And contribution is like a wide scale. So if I contribute by advocating for and talking about accessibility and being an accessibility consultant, being a blind film critic and all those kind of things, those are still contributions. Did I cure cancer? No. Was I probably ever going to cure cancer? No, it's not what my degree's in. I was terrible in biology in school. So you don't want me in there. But we can all still do things, but even for people who are like moderately and who just need a little bit of help, the shit's expensive. And you know, the qualifications to be on Medicaid. There's a guy on here. I'm gonna go with Matthew. I think his name is Matthew. He's 37. His wife suddenly had like 2 strokes just out of nowhere and became disabled. And suddenly he's having to take care of her and their like 3-year-old, and he becomes like a TikTok sensation because he talks openly and honestly about his life. And you know, when he talks about his life story, and I mean everything, I actually thought his story was like one of the more effective ones, because he talks about being a caregiver and also being a husband, and you know, wanting to be a husband and not just a caregiver, but he feels like he's like a caregiver full time, and sort of like reaching out. And he, like, there are certain things, like he had to build a ramp because they wouldn't finance a ramp, you know. But he talks about, in order for his wife to be able to get the things that she needs to qualify for Medicaid, he had to take her off the mortgage and off the joint bank account. So a lot of times I don't think people realize like how poor you have to be in order to actually qualify for Medicaid. So that's sort of like a wake-up call for many people. So in order for her to get the medical equipment, the prescriptions and everything that she needs in order to like stay alive, I mean, she's at a level where he has to help her in and out of the shower, that kind of stuff. So in order for that to happen, she has to become destitute individually as a human being. It's odd that we don't even allow people certain things, like a house. You can't have any sort of funds for yourself for the rest of your life. So if you become disabled and you have saved up money and theoretically you'll be on this earth for the next 40 years, well, better spend that money up before going on Medicaid. Even though Medicaid isn't going to pay you enough, you're not going to get disability checks are really low, and it's hard to actually survive off of them. I actually don't claim. This is a lot of information for you in a review. I actually don't claim because I do have a job and I make too much money and to be on disability. So that's me now. I don't know if that's going to be me forever, but I kind of fear the day when I am going to have to claim it because I know how shitty those payments are. And I'm just like, oh my God, I don't even have that big of a salary. I don't even work that much and I earn more than a disabled person. So, not counting anything I do on here with YouTube, I'm just saying it's nuts. So, these documentaries that bring more attention to this world and the people who do it, yeah, I mean, we need more documentaries like this. We had some documentaries last year that were disability focused. My favorite documentary of the year right now is Deaf President Now, because we need to talk about these kinds of things more. We live in a political climate where, they keep trying to take away Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, which is the first thing. It's sort of like the first meaningful piece of legislation that was ever put into place that requires all buildings that receive federal funding to be accessible to people with disabilities. And that has been an ongoing battle. There were like 17 states that were suing to declare that unconstitutional. And even when some of those states backed off, then the Department of Energy came along and then tried to do it like individually, and they're filing for exceptions from their angle for things that qualify in Department of Energy. And the thing is, once you start giving one grouping an exception, you open up a door for precedent for more like-minded institutions and buildings and stuff like that to receive the same sort of waivers. So it's these, if you don't know, if you're not part of now, of course, the senators and representatives and governors and everything, when Section 504 was up, got inundated with calls upon calls upon calls, and they had to deal with and talk to their constituents about. I don't think these people care anymore. I just really don't. I think they just, they think that we'll just forget. But if you live it every day, if disability is your life every day, or if you're a caregiver and you see it every day and you can't help but do it every single day, you don't forget because it's right there in front of you. It's your life. It's every single day. And if everybody's in poverty because somebody in their family is disabled and somebody has to stay home to take care of them, it just becomes, it's this never-ending cycle. And I don't think that as a nation that we're actually ready to look at it and try to figure out how do we best support these people, because we're so concerned with not leaving people on welfare. It's so insane now to think about the fact that our president wants to give people money for having babies, but yet years ago that used to be the thing. People used to joke about how there were these welfare mothers that were just having babies so that they could collect these welfare checks, right, through their multitude of children. And now we're just going to directly pay mothers for having kids. It's just where we are as a nation. I have no idea what we're going to do when we're going to treat people with disabilities. I think a lot about my future and other people like me and where we're headed. And then I think about this documentary Caregiving, and it's amazing that this ever got made, that there's enough empathetic people out there to allow caregiving to have, oh my God, it's on PBS and we're trying to get rid of PBS. So, oh, it has audio description. That's great. But there's audio description because it's on PBS, and now that audio description is going to dip away. So, I don't know. I had a lot of thoughts while Caregiving was happening. Some of it was about the movie. Some of it was about the context of the movie. Some of it was just about the existence of the movie. So, if you haven't seen Caregiving, I strongly encourage you to see Caregiving. It's not a happy time watch, but it's also not like the most depressing thing that you'll ever watch in your entire life. It's very neutral and it approaches a subject matter that we have to talk about very thoughtfully, and sort of shows us these people's lives. It allows us to come into them and see them and see the reality of their everyday life, and a wide sort of variety of what caregiving is, and a wide variety of sort of who are the people who need the caregiving. So that's what I thought was really interesting about it in the different situations. So it does a pretty good job of painting a broad picture instead of a narrow one. So even sort of from the, like, let's wave a magic wand and pretend I wasn't disabled, I still would like the structure of this in terms of its formatting as a documentary, because it's not so laser focused on one thing. It's not just people who are like, wheelchair people need help. You know, it's kind of more like a broad spectrum, or old people need caregiving. Well, there's definitely a child that needs caregiving in this documentary. So it's sort of, yeah, it makes sure that you understand across the board. And then also just the idea that you can acquire a disability, which is why I try to do what I do, because as somebody who used to be able to see and now can't, I try to tell as many people as I can, if you just build an accessible world now, you don't know what's ahead for you. I didn't know this was ahead for me. So you can keep walking around and dancing around like, nothing's ever gonna happen to me or anybody I ever care about, and just continue to like frolic through the fucking tulips or whatever the hell you're doing. But you don't know that. You don't know that it's not coming for you. And if you spend all this time pretending like it doesn't matter, wait, just wait. So, I don't know why we don't. I don't know why we don't build a more accessible world, because as people, even in this documentary will show you, it just happens. Shit just happens, man. And then suddenly you're in this group. You're in my group. You're in my section of the Venn diagram. You know, you're welcome to the shit. Anyway, please check out Caregiving. I thought the audio description was really pretty good. It uses a lot of variable speed audio description, which I'm fine with. We don't do it enough. I think it's like a little bit of a faux pas to do it too much. I'm trying to think about like using it sort of for maybe like a narrative feature. And I don't know, man. I think sometimes if we're not getting enough audio description in because either there's too much dialogue or whatever the situation is, and you feel like you can't squeeze things in, I don't know that variable speed audio description isn't the way to go. I don't think that it's not the solution. I think part of why they do it is because I don't do this, but if you have some blind people in your life, or if you are blind, you know that some of us with our little screen readers have it set up to like a really high rate of speed. Like we've suddenly been able to understand people talk really, really fast. I don't do that, and I haven't gained that. I still like things to talk to me at like a normal rate of speed, but there are people who can listen to things really fast, and it's pretty impressive. I'm like, oh my God, how did you got all of that? Jesus. So, it's pretty, so I guess like variable speed for a blind audience, which is what audio description is largely for, is blind, no vision people who are probably already using screen readers that are also, you know, overclocked as it is, isn't really that big of a deal. Plus it means we actually get more description in there. So you actually get more context. So I actually like Caregiving because of that. I'm trying to think about like, would I support more variable speed audio description? Yeah, especially on projects where it's like, if you show me what option A is, and option A is like barely anything, but then option B has variable speed, and like I actually am like, oh well, that happened there. Oh my God, well that's happening there. Oh, I know now. I know what that person looks like. You know, like if I actually start learning things about people, then obviously variable speed. Please, like the whole point of audio description is to give us as much context as possible. So if we have to clock somebody's voice up a little bit faster to squeeze some things in, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. None of this was so fast that you couldn't understand it. It was just sometimes it was obvious that the voice was being sped up. So to squeeze in narration into a little block. Anyway, caregiving. Yeah, I'm gonna give it an A. So in case that wasn't obvious as to where this was going, basically I had no notes for it. Yeah, I liked it. It's on PBS or wherever after this. I don't know where it goes after PBS. Into the ether. I don't know. So watch it while you can. Get out there and check out Caregiving. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'm sure you click like and subscribe and join this long-term commitment of being in my cult. And I will see you guys on the other side.